What's going on, Motion fans? This week we're going to bring you another episode of What's in the Box. This time it's going to be post-spawn and summer edition. Everything you need to have in a single box to go out and catch fish on your trips. So let's jump right into it and talk about each one of these baits. Alright, well, since you're watching this video and on our page, you're probably no stranger to jig fishing. So one of the first baits we want to talk about is the jig. Now that we're into the post-spawn and we're getting into those summer warm months, hot water, there's really two ways you can think about breaking the lake down. Either heading towards the steeper banks, your offshore spots, points, ledges, deeper water, or on the complete flip side, go super shallow with vegetation, cover, and shade. So for us, we're gonna have two jigs with us at all time. One of them is gonna be a flipping jig. Most of the time carry a black and blue or a natural green pumpkin style color like blue crawl. And then the second jig we're gonna carry is going to be a football jig. Most of the time we're gonna be carrying a 3/4 ounce. Reason being, you're gonna have more boat traffic, you're gonna have waves, and fishing deeper, you wanna maintain bottom contact with that jig so you can feel everything that's down there on that bottom. So of course with those jigs in the box, we're also gonna have a couple trailers with us as well of different colors so we can match the forage. So again, if we talk about going shallow, one of the other things that we're gonna have is some type of flipping style bait, a beaver, something along those lines. And with that, you're gonna wanna carry a weight too. So we like to carry a 1/2 ounce or a 5/16 ounce because that fall rate can make a difference at times. So carry a couple different weights with you, a beaver style bait, and then of course a extra wide gap hook. We use a 3/0 wide gap hook by Mustad for our beaver style baits, and if we're using like a big worm or something along those lines, we'll go ahead and bump up to the 5/0 size. So talking about worms, let's break that down a little bit. That's another bait that we're gonna have in our box for this post-spawn period. A big 10-inch worm. Bass love them offshore, they love them shallow. This is an excellent bait to throw around all those points, standing timber, things along those lines. We are also going to carry a finesse style worm. So something like a trick worm. Have a shaky head with us. If they want something that has a little bit less action, something more finesse, that's where we're gonna go employ that shaky head style. One of the last soft plastics that we're gonna carry with us is a Wacky Worm. We carry this because we're gonna use that as a follow-up bait for our top water fishing. So if you're fishing something like a buzz bait or a spook. A spook is an excellent offshore bait when those bass are schooling off points, things like that. You can make really long casts with this and they just come and destroy it. We're typically going to be throwing the buzz bait more shallow, around shallow vegetation, laydowns, things along those lines. But we will use that Wacky Worm in both situations. If you have a fish miss it, you want to reel that bait in as fast as you can, fire that Wacky Worm in that exact spot, and a lot of times you'll pick up an extra bite or two from that. Moving on, a couple other baits that we're going to carry. Again, if we're talking about shallow water, a square bill. A square bill is going to be very hard to beat, banging against any wood, rock, those types of covers. If you're fishing deeper points, something like a Little John DD or a DT16 or DT20, those would be excellent choices. Here we have a crank wraps in the gizzard shad. Check them out. Excellent wraps if you have some beat up baits or just want to get that match the hatch. That's a perfect way to do it. One of the last baits that we want to talk about for What's in the Box episode is going to be a big swim bait. So again, fishing offshore, we want to be able to present something a little bit different to the fish. So if we're catching them on a jig and the bite slows down, that's when we'll pick up the swim bait. Fire that in there, will help pick up an extra bite, and a lot of times one of the bigger bites. So again, in the box, a beaver style bait, have a couple jigs, a finesse worm, shaky head, a big worm, top water, and crankbaits. Put those in your box and you will go out and catch more fish. Guys, really appreciate you subscribing to us, being part of these videos. If you found it helpful, please share this video. It really helps us reaching more anglers. Comment your favorite post-spawn bait down below in the comments, and please, as always, like this video. We appreciate everybody. We'll see you next week for Motion Monday.